Did Gen Z destroy Gen X's retirement? Not in one dramatic moment. It happened quietly. One phone bill, one rent shortage, and one temporary rescue at a time. Congratulations, Generation X. Your children grew up. Their bills did not. The phone bill stayed. The car insurance stayed. The grocery requests stayed. And somehow, I only need help for a few months developed an impressive ability to survive entire years. That sounds harsh. It is also becoming normal. In 2025, 49% of Americans under 30 lived with a parent. Nearly half. And 47% of adults aged 18 to 29 received help from someone outside their household to pay at least one expense. Cell phones, housing, car costs, medical bills, general expenses. The adult child may have left school. The financial umbilical cord apparently renewed automatically. Now, your first thought may be obvious. Gen Z is destroying Gen X. Not so fast, because the moment we turn this into a simple story about lazy children and foolish parents, the real problem disappears. Many young adults are working. Many are trying. Many simply entered adulthood when rent, food, transportation, and basic independence became painfully expensive. The Census Bureau says fewer than 1/4 of adults aged 25 to 34 had reached the old combination of moving out, working, marrying, and having children by 2024. In 1975, nearly half had done so. That is not a minor cultural change. That is adulthood being rescheduled. And yes, housing is a major reason. More than half of young adult households were housing cost burdened in recent research. Among young adult renters, the share reached 58%. In ordinary language, housing consumed more than 30% of their income. Young adults are not imagining the pressure. But pressure does not disappear. It moves. When Gen Z cannot absorb the full cost of adulthood, someone else often absorbs part of it. Usually, a parent. Frequently, Generation X. And this is where sympathy becomes expensive. Pew found that only 45% of adults aged 18 to 34 described themselves as completely financially independent from their parents. 44% said they received parental help during the previous year. That age range also includes younger millennials, so it should not be presented as a Gen Z-only figure. You may be thinking, fine, parents help their children. That is what parents do. Correct. Helping is normal. The danger is not one grocery run. It is repetition. One phone payment. One rent shortage. One repair. One emergency transfer. Then, another. Nothing looks catastrophic by itself. That is the trick. Retirement plans are rarely destroyed during one dramatic family meeting. They are weakened quietly through small payments that never receive an ending date. And now, the numbers become uncomfortable. A Bankrate survey found that 69% of Gen X parents with adult children had made financial sacrifices to help them. 47% sacrificed emergency savings. 47% delayed paying down debt. 40% sacrificed retirement savings. 40%. That is not only generosity. That is one generation funding another generation's present with money intended for its own future. But wait, this does not mean every Gen Z adult living at home is lying on the sofa while a parent delivers snacks and pays the Wi-Fi. Pew found that 72% of young adults living with parents contributed financially in some way. 65% helped with groceries or utilities. 46% contributed toward rent or the mortgage. So yes, many contribute. Many work. Many are doing exactly what critics say they are not doing. And yet contribution is not always independence. Paying part of the grocery bill may help the household. It does not necessarily cover the added housing, utilities, transportation, insurance, repairs, subscriptions, and emergency support connected to another adult. That is where the argument changes. The real question is not, does Gen Z contribute anything? The real question is, does the arrangement still protect the future of both generations? Because support can feel loving today and become dangerous later. ARP found that 3/4 of surveyed parents aged 45 and older financially supported at least one adult child. The average annual amount was about $7,000, but the median was much lower, $1,400. That difference matters. Most parents were not handing over $7,000. A smaller group was providing very large amounts, and those are often the families where temporary support quietly becomes a permanent system. The survey was broader than Generation X alone, but it clearly shows the pressure landing on parents in midlife and beyond. Still, the emotional cost was widespread. 42% reported financial stress. 35% reported emotional stress. Why keep doing it? Because saying no to your adult child does not feel like rejecting an expense. It feels like rejecting your child. That is the trap. Gen X is not dealing with a normal budget decision. It is dealing with love, guilt, fear, and retirement all inside the same bank account. And Gen Z faces its own trap. Accepting help may be the only realistic way to stay housed, keep a car running, or survive an unstable beginning. But repeated help can delay the moment when full responsibility becomes unavoidable. The parent becomes the emergency fund. Then the backup income. Then the permanent financial department. Problem solved? Not quite. The child becomes more stable. The parent becomes less secure. One generation moves forward. The other moves retirement backward. So, did Gen Z destroy Gen X? No, that answer is too easy. This is not a courtroom. There is no single villain waiting to confess. There is only a costly arrangement that feels loving to both sides until the future finally sends its invoice. Gen Z did not create expensive housing. Gen X did not create rising living costs or unstable early careers. And parents did not invent the instinct to protect their children. But unlimited support can still cause real damage, especially when nobody defines the amount, the reason, the responsibilities, or the ending date. That is the line everyone avoids. Help should have a purpose, a limit, a review, a path toward independence. Otherwise, love becomes a subscription, month after month, year after year, automatically renewed. And retirement receives whatever remains, usually less, usually later, sometimes never enough. Generation Z needs a future. Generation X does too.